This is Dr. David Jockers, and today we're talking about 10 steps to beat acid reflux naturally. And we know acid reflux, or otherwise called heartburn or gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, really affects a tremendous amount of people in westernized countries. And it's one of the fastest growing conditions. And I'm going to go through exactly what you need to do to overcome this condition naturally. As a doctor, I see people dealing with this all the time. And it's really one of those warning signs that major issues are developing in the body. If you're dealing with chronic acid reflux, that's a way that your body is telling you that there is a serious issue going on with your digestion. We're going to jump into that, go into exactly what acid reflux is, what causes it, and what we need to do about it. So if you don't know me, my name's Dr. David Jockers. I am a doctor of natural medicine. I speak all around the country at a number of different organizations and churches. I also am involved with many different online summits and really have a specialty in healing the gut and helping with brain function and energy levels. This is my beautiful wife, Angel, my little boys, David and Joshua. And so let's go into really what's going on here with acid reflux. Well, we know when we look at the stomach, we normally have stomach acid in there, and the stomach acid should be very, very low, particularly when we're eating. So there's always acid in there, but as we eat, we basically create and produce more acid, and especially when we have protein, when we're digesting protein like meat, we produce a lot more acid. The typical pH of your stomach should be between 1.5 and 3.0. And if you know anything about chemistry and pH, basically there's a big difference between 1.5 and 3.0. For good protein digestion, it needs to be very low, 1.5 to 2.2. Okay. Now we have a little sphincter. It's called the lower esophageal sphincter. And you see the esophagus is kind of this tube that food runs through and connects into the stomach. Now, normally there's a sphincter, which is a little muscle, and you can see it's called the LES on that picture there. And when the pH goes under 3.0, the esophageal sphincter closes. So what does that mean? Basically, the esophageal sphincter, normally our pH might be around 3.5, 4.0, and the esophageal sphincter stays open, and it allows food to enter. But as we get more and more food in there, we get this closure. Unless there's pressure by food put on it, then it will open and close again. Okay, so as the pH goes down to a lower than 3, that sphincter closes. Now, if we don't get the pH low enough, it stays open. Okay, the problem here is as foodstuffs begin to increase in the stomach, it will push up acid into the esophagus. And if the sphincter is not closed, then that acid will get into that basically into the esophagus, and will start to burn it. The tissue in the esophagus is not meant to be able to handle the acidity of the stomach acid, so it burns it. And this can actually lead to esophageal cancer, obviously can cause things like heartburn. Many people that are clearing their throat a lot, okay? So like if you eat something and you've got to clear your throat a lot after eating that, that's actually a sign of what we call silent acid reflux or silent gastroesophageal reflux disease. So a lot of people are dealing with this and they just don't even know it. Okay, so we've got to really protect this. And basically the way that we keep that sphincter closed and strong is the main way is by actually keeping the stomach acid very potent. So we want to protect our stomach acid production. So there are really 3 major things that end up leading to this lower esophageal sphincter not able to do its job. One, again, is basically not low enough stomach acid, so poor digestive juice production. About the reasons for that. So that's a big one. Number 2 is basically just, and really when we have that, we create a weak muscular ring. So that's the issue there. Also, if the nerve supply coming out to that area around T6, middle of the thoracic spine, is not functioning well, then we might not have a good muscle contraction in that region. So that's another issue. And then a hiatal hernia, which can also happen as well, where basically part of the stomach pushes up into the esophagus And that can cause kind of this chronic acid reflux as well. So here are the main reasons, though, why we reduce our ability to produce stomach acid and end up with acid reflux, leaky gut, and all different types of issues. Okay, so number one, the overuse of antibiotics. So when we overuse antibiotics, it creates changes in our gut microflora, which can lead to poor digestive juice production. H. pylori, which is basically an infection in our system, so a type of bacteria that basically lives in the stomach and releases something called urease, which neutralizes stomach acid production. Also, chronic stress. Stress is antagonistic to digestion. So when we're under stress, we're not going to be able to produce stomach acid and digestive juices, and therefore we're going to have more issues with digestion. And really, lowering our stomach acid is really, in a sense, the first big thing that happens that ends up leading to leaky gut, autoimmunity, and chronic inflammation. So stress will cause that. Poor diet. So if our blood sugar's off balance, if we're eating foods that we're sensitive to, and that's going to cause problems. Eating too quickly or on the go, that's actually very stressful on the body when we eat very fast, or if we're eating on the go. Again, stress is antagonistic to digestion. We want to eat in a relaxed position. We want to eat when we're relaxed because that's going to allow us to produce the digestive juices we need. Overuse of certain medications like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, Tylenol, aspirin, ibuprofen, shuts down our body's ability to produce stomach acid. Also, proton pump inhibitors. The typical medications given for acid reflux actually create more problems because they lower the stomach acid, or basically they raise the stomach acid. So we don't have so instead of a stomach acid of 3.5, let's say, it can go up to 4.0, 4.5 because we're taking the proton pump inhibitor. So we may have less burn in our esophagus, but we're not going to digest our food effectively, and we're not going to close that lower esophageal sphincter. So those sorts of medications can give us temporary symptomatic relief, but they don't actually get to the root cause. Also, bacterial overgrowth, which can put pressure and push up the stomach, pushing it up closer to the esophagus. That can actually lead to basically GERD and acid reflux as well. Aging successfully, we shouldn't have this issue, but when we're not aging successfully, it can cause a weakening of that esophageal sphincter, that ring. And then food sensitivity. So if we have a sensitivity, if we're eating eggs and we have a sensitivity to eggs, then it's going to cause stress on our body. And again, we said stress is antagonistic to digestion. So if our body senses, hey, this is a foreign particle that's bad for my system, that is dangerous to my body because we have leaky gut and food sensitivities, then we're going to have increased stress hormone production in our body when we consume that, and that's going to lead to a reduction in digestive juice production. So really important that we take note of that. And why is stomach acid so important? And maybe I should have started with this, but really stomach acid is so critical because it sterilizes food. So if we don't sterilize food well, we are much more likely to develop some sort of an infection. So a lot of people will rotate between constipation and diarrhea, or they'll be more sensitive to foodborne illness, right? So developing something like a stomach infection where you're throwing up or you're having diarrhea. That can happen when we don't sterilize our food. Also, just in general, when we don't sterilize our food, we're much more likely to have a yeast overgrowth, parasites, and small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and different bacterial colonies that are pathogenic that will overgrow in our system. It's also important for protein digestion. So not only does it protect us from pathogens, but it also breaks down protein. So when we eat meat, it breaks it down into amino acids. We need those amino acids to heal our body, to repair us. They produce enzymes. They produce things like glutathione, which is our body's master antioxidant. And so when we don't have good protein digestion, we're not going to be able to heal and repair well. We're not going to be able to function well. It's going to reduce our energy. It's going to accelerate the aging process. It's going to cause a lot of problems. It also activates pepsin, which is key for protein digestion. It activates intrinsic factor, which is a protein necessary for B12 absorption, vitamin B12 absorption. And if we don't absorb B12 well over time, we can develop a lot of neurological symptoms, numbness and tingling, neurotransmitter issues affecting our mood and our memory and our brain function. So we can see a lot of that with low stomach acid. It also stimulates the delivery of bile and enzymes. So if we don't get the right stomach acid production, we're not going to get the right bile production in our gallbladder. So we're going to end up with more of a sluggish, and we're not going to be able to secrete the right amount of pancreatic enzymes. Therefore, we're not going to be able to digest our food well, and we're going to have large food particles that are going to be a breeding ground for bad bacteria. They're also going to create more inflammation because they're large and then undigested in the small intestine, and therefore we're going to have more foodborne reactions, food sensitivities. If you're somebody out there, you feel like you're sensitive to a ton of different foods, or maybe you've had like an all-cat test or a food sensitivity test, and it came out that you are sensitive to a lot of different foods, it's probably a sign that you have low stomach acid, okay? It's also necessary, again, to close that esophageal sphincter like we talked about. It's so important to close that lower esophageal sphincter so we don't end up damaging our esophagus. And then it opens that pyloric sphincter, which is the sphincter between the stomach and the small intestine. And that's important. A lot of people with low stomach acid will complain that food just sits in their belly. So they eat and it just doesn't move. And that's because they're not getting that right stomach acid mix to open up the pyloric sphincter. So they feel bloated, and then they get fermentation up into the stomach, and it just can cause a whole myriad of issues. Also, acid reflux is very much associated with heart disease because, again, when the stomach becomes bloated, it puts more pressure on the heart and the cardiovascular system, creates more inflammation in the body. So we really got to get the stomach acid right. And just to summarize, man, low stomach acid is going to cause poor digestion. We're going to end up with protein and mineral deficiencies, particularly with minerals, zinc and iron. So a lot of people with anemia, it's often related to low stomach acid, zinc deficiency, which is really key for healthy hormone production. A lot of women with endometriosis or menopausal type issues, men with low testosterone, oftentimes associated with zinc. Zinc's also key for the immune system. So lower immune function, oftentimes related to zinc deficiencies, which can be traced back typically to low stomach acid levels. So very important. And then when we don't break down food well, we end up with a lot more inflammation and acidic blood. And then again, it's just this vicious cycle because now we're nutrient deficient and we're inflamed and stressed, and our body is stressed. So it's not going to be able to produce enough stomach acid, and it just keeps going. We get more and more poor digestion, and it gets worse and worse. And here are the kind of symptoms that people experience: bloating, indigestion, fatigue, because we don't have the nutrients we need to produce energy, belching, which is really common with this, gas, particularly like in the first hour after a meal, is often associated with low stomach acid. Constipation. I've helped so many people with constipation by improving their stomach acid levels. People with autoimmune disorders, typically issues with low stomach acid. Hair loss in women. When women have hair loss, that's a sign that they're not absorbing their nutrients well and they've got food sensitivities. And that is classic with low stomach acid. Candida overgrowth. If you go on a lower, basically a candida diet, but you're not getting rid of the candida, it's because you have low stomach acid. Weak and peeling and cracked fingernails, another classic sign of poor nutrient deficiency. If you get lab work done and you are anemic or B12 deficient, classic sign, low stomach acid. If you have skin issues, eczema, acne, dry skin or dandruff, signs of low stomach acid. So if you're noticing any of these things, I would definitely recommend following the strategies I'm about to go into to improve your stomach acid levels naturally. One of the worst things, again, is these proton pump inhibitors. You know, they definitely work. Like if somebody has acid reflux, taking these medications will definitely relieve the symptoms. They won't notice those symptoms. But the problem, again, is not that we have too much acid. It's actually that we have too little acid. We need more acid to close that esophageal sphincter and to digest our food effectively. So if we block that and we raise up our pH in our stomach, we're not gonna notice the symptoms of acid reflux, but we're not gonna be able to absorb our nutrients, sterilize our food, and all the different issues I discussed. So we end up with mineral deficiencies. We end up with B12, vitamin A. We're not absorbing our protein effectively. So all of these types of issues are gonna cause serious problems in our body. We gotta get off those medications. And ultimately, it's a major cause of leaky gut. You can see right up here. What are some of the major triggers? Low HCl. HCl is hydrochloric acid, stomach acid. So low stomach acid and enzymes is going to tear apart this little junction in between the between the intestinal cells, the little villi. And what happens now? Large undigested protein molecules are going to cross through the gut into the bloodstream is going to say, oh my gosh, this should not be in my blood. This is a large protein, should not be in my blood. It could be a bacteria. It could be something that's going to kill me. So I need to create an immune response. And that's what it will do, create these circulating immune complexes, which increase inflammation, which could affect your joints. It could affect your thyroid. It could affect your skin, causing things like eczema and acne and psoriasis. It can affect your brain and your neurological tissue, contributing to things like MS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. It can cause a whole myriad of issues. We've got to address the stomach acid. So here are really 10 key ways to improve your stomach acid levels. Number 1, liquid nutrition. I mean, things like smoothies and green juices. You want things that are already pre-digested. You allow the blender to do the digestion, so it's very minimally stressful on your digestive system. So when you are running around and you are doing errands, doing things, right, that depend upon energy from your physical body, that's a stress. And again, stress is antagonistic to digestive juice production. So what happens there? It's going to lower your body's ability to produce that stomach acid. So that's why doing smoothies, green juices, things like this that provide calories and nutrients that your body needs, but don't depend on digestive energy, that is so valuable when you're in those times when you are running around doing a lot of things. So liquid nutrition throughout the day. You want to eat your largest meal. Let's go down to number 10. Eat your largest meal when you're most relaxed. That's your meal where you have meat, okay? I'm a fan of really consuming meat only once a day, okay? So a lot of people will go on like a vegan diet or a juice diet, and they'll do it for a week or 30 days, and they'll see phenomenal results. And one reason why is they took the stress off the digestive system, which allowed their body to heal and repair their gut lining and their ability to produce stomach acid. And that's awesome. Long term, being on a vegan diet can be very unhealthy. However, we should just be eating meat at every meal. So meat is very nutrient dense, but very stressful on the digestive tract. It takes a lot of energy to break it down. So I recommend eating it when you're most relaxed. You want to be in a state where you're able to produce enough stomach acid and digestive juices to be able to metabolize it effectively. So that's what I'm a fan of. So basically for most of us, it's going to be in the evenings. For some of us, it could be the middle of the day, could even be in the morning, depending on what your work schedule is like. But most of the time, most people have their more relaxed period of time in the evenings when they get home from work or whatever it is that they were doing, running around and doing errands. So if that's the case, then you want to make sure that you are relaxed, take a few deep breaths before you consume your meal. Use some fermented veggies or fermented drinks like apple cider vinegar, something along those lines before your meal. You can use fermented veggies with your meal like kimchi or sauerkraut or pickles, which can really help. Or fermented ginger is also really good. That will help you be able to metabolize your meat and your meal more effectively. Also, squeezing lemon and putting apple cider vinegar on the food can be really helpful. And then also doing, outside of meals, doing lemon and apple cider vinegar in your water. Like I drink a big glass of water with either 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar or 2 tablespoons of lemon juice or even fresh squeezed lemon or lime every single day. I do it in the mornings when I wake up, and it's a great way to start getting that stomach acid going and really just down-regulate inflammation in the gut and improve the overall gut ecology, the overall balance of microbes in your gut. It's a really, really good idea. Also using ginger. In fact, munching, just chewing on a little bit of ginger root, almost like basically like a half an inch, about a half an inch, just a small amount of ginger before a meal can initiate the production of digestive juices. These are called carminative herbs. I'm going to go into more detail about ginger and other herbs that you can munch on in order to help produce the right amount of stomach acid. You want to super hydrate outside of meal times. You want to stay real well hydrated away from meals. Dehydration is a major contributor to stress and adrenal fatigue. So hydrating outside of meals tells your body you're in a safe place, that you've got water, you want minerals in there. So I put pink salts like Himalayan sea salt inside of my water, just a little touch of it with my water, and that will provide minerals and hydration that will keep your energy levels high. Now, when you're having your meat-based meal, you don't want to drink much water. I would drink 4 ounces maximum, and that would be to take supplements. That would be really the main reason to drink that water, would be to take certain supplements that you may be taking with a meal. And then hold off on water after a meal. For a meat-based meal or a larger meal, I would recommend at least an hour, okay? So a healthy stomach, you should be producing enough stomach acid. You should be able to consume your meal and get it through the stomach into the small intestine in about an hour, okay? So that's what you'll want to do. Wait about an hour. Also, eating protein foods at the beginning of the meal is important too, because basically your stomach acid is going to be the most concentrated down at the lower part of the stomach. So getting the protein foods in first before the vegetables, because you don't need as much stomach acid to break down vegetables as you do meat. So you want to get the meat and let it sit in the area where the stomach acid is most concentrated. Just allow gravity to do its job there is very, very effective. Also, fermented drinks. We talked about apple cider vinegar. One that I like to do a little bit after my solid food meal is coconut water kefir. I love the Kavita coconut water kefir. My favorite is the lime mint. Carminative herbs. And carminatives are amazing for helping produce digestive juices. So you can get a lot of carminatives in your system. You can do things like the lime mint coconut water kefir. We talked about fermented vegetables and drinks. These things, carminatives basically just help with the overall tone of the digestive system, the production of digestive juices. They help to eliminate gas, and they help to reduce microbial overgrowth as well. So chewing on some fennel seed is another great thing. Fennel seed or rosemary after a meal cleans your palate and will help with digestive juice production. You could also do it before the meal to help improve that too. If you're doing juices, for example, throughout the day, you could throw in some little bit of ginger root in there, or you could do herbal teas like ginger tea, for example, would be really good. Dandelion tea, mint tea, peppermint, things like that be great. Essential oils are awesome. Okay. In fact, there's essential oils that help with digestive symptoms that are a combination typically of things like peppermint and ginger that you can rub on your stomach before and after a meal to help improve digestion or to help overcome digestive symptoms. You can also put them on your feet to help get the benefits right into your bloodstream. And then fresh herbs. I love fresh rosemary, basil, oregano. If you have a little garden that you're using, just getting the fresh herb can be awesome for your system. So using these carminatives. And then one really awesome one for stomach acid production is aloe vera. So drinking aloe vera juice can really help support the production of digestive juices and improve your immune system. There's so many great benefits of aloe vera. A lot of times people put aloe vera gel on sunburns, for example, because it encourages the collagen and elastin repair, helps reduce the inflammation on the skin from sunburns. There's just so many great benefits, but drinking aloe vera juice can be really good for helping with digestive juice production. You can also do supplements. Like I've got this supplement, Gut Repair, which is a combination of L-glutamine, which is the major amino acid to help heal the gut. L-glutamine is what I use to help people overcome food sensitivities. So when people have sensitivities to food, to a lot of foods like eggs and things like that, to assign any more L-glutamine to help close up the gut lining, but they also need to improve their stomach acid levels so they get better digestion, so they don't keep inflaming the gut lining. So this has aloe vera powder. It also has deglycerinated licorice root. Licorice root's awesome for stomach acid production and healing the gut, but the glycerine agent in there can cause an increase in cortisol, stress hormones. So for digestive repair, we want to keep that down. So we go ahead and we use this DGL. It also has a certain type of prebiotic fiber called arbenogalactin, which helps upregulate good bacteria in our system to help produce the kinds of nutrients we need and to reduce inflammation throughout our gut. So gut repair works great. It's part of my protocol. I'll usually have my clients do 1 to 2 scoops in 1 to 2 shakes daily, depending on the severity of their symptoms and the level of their stomach acid and how long they've been dealing with their issues will basically, that's how I'll set up my protocol. But putting that in shakes daily is awesome. We talked about ginger tea, consuming ginger on a regular basis, amazing for helping improve stomach acid. And then the gut healing protein, because this actually has ginger root in it. It also has things like dandelion and watercress and MSM and turmeric, the activated compound, I should say, curcumin. It has a full phase 1 through 3 liver detox system in it. It has B vitamins, it has iron. So it's basically like a multivitamin, a detox system, a protein powder, and a gut soother all in one. So using this gut healing protein is really a great place to start. Using this in your smoothies throughout the day. It's complete protein, easy on the digestive system, and a ton of different compounds that help to support stomach acid production. So this is usually the best place I'll have people start, is like a 30-day regimen on the gut healing protein. And if they've been dealing with symptoms of acid reflux for anywhere from more than 3 months, then I'll also have them add in the gut repair to start and to help soothe that stomach acid lining. One way that you can tell, for example, that you're producing low stomach acid levels, and I'll have my clients do this, is the baking soda test. You basically take a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and 4 to 6 ounces of cold water first thing in the morning before eating or drinking anything. Now, normally, the hydroxide component of the baking soda should combine with the positive ion, the hydrogen ions in the stomach that create the acidity, and you should normally create carbon dioxide as a byproduct, and you will burp or belch. And so after you drink this mixture, you time how long it takes for you to burp or belch. If you haven't burped or belched in 3 minutes, it's a sign that you have low stomach acid. If you haven't burped or belched in 5 minutes, it's a sign that you have very low stomach acid. You need to really support it, okay? And then we may also use supplements like betaine HCl. So I have a supplement called acid prozyme, which has betaine HCl. It also has pepsin, that key protein, and an herb that helps with stomach acid production called gentian. That's right in there. So we'll start to use supplements to help improve stomach acid levels if we test out that we're not producing enough. So again, if we are not producing if we're not burping within 5 minutes, okay, then it's time to start using betaine HCl supplementation. If we're not burping, I should say, or belching, if we're burping or belching within 3 to 5 minutes, then I start out with gut healing protein and gut repair. Okay, if we're belching within 3 minutes, then typically we're doing well. Okay, we're doing well. Now you still could supplement with the gut healing protein, but you're usually doing well with your stomach acid production. But I'll tell you, of all the clients I've had test this, reality is 99% come back. I think I may have had 1 or 2 that have come back and said they belched within a minute. Okay, usually it's going to take some time because the stomach acid levels are so low, just because of the typical lifestyle strategy, just the lifestyle that we live. We're on the go, we're constantly eating bad foods, we're stressed out. All those things drain our ability to produce enough stomach acid. So most people are just not producing enough, and it's dramatically affecting their health. And it's one of the first places to start when you want to improve your gut health and your overall levels of inflammation, is getting that stomach acid right. So anyways, I hope you got a lot of value out of this presentation here. And if you do have acid reflux, okay, you've been dealing with it for a long time, both my functional nutritional practitioner, Haley, and myself, we do consults. We work with people all around the world to help them overcome these issues. Acid reflux happens to be our bread and butter. I mean, we just help so many people with this condition. So if you do want help and a customized plan, definitely reach out to us. You can email Haley at nutrition@drjockers.com, and we'd be happy to work with you and put you on a protocol to overcome this, to get healthy, to overcome the issues you've been dealing with, and to really live your best life. So hope you guys got a lot of value out of this, and we will see you on a future presentation. God bless.